Hello and welcome to the Three Peaks Podcast,
where we take a break from the hike of life
and appreciate the view.
Today, we have a very special guest, Scott Paul. Scott, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me on. Thank you.
So we wanted to give you a quick moment to let our audience know more about you. So,
all right, I'll take maybe 2 minutes here.
All right.
My background is mostly in just startups. If there was a person who could get a PhD in startup experience, that's where I belong. I've done so many of them, invested in so many of them, and I surround myself with all the people doing startups. And I've been doing it for over 15 years. Actually, probably my whole life, but officially 15 years of startups. And that's mostly technology related startups, but I've also done e-commerce and other stuff. So I'll probably talk a lot about that today, how I involved in startups. But me personally, I have a family of 3 girls that live on a little farm up here in Utah. And I am trying to figure out how to help. My latest startup and my latest adventure is figuring out if we can extend lifespan by 5 to 10 to 20 years. And that means live longer, but a healthy life. So not live longer in like hospice care, but live longer out there doing hikes up peaks. And so that's a adventure that I'm on right now.
Yeah. So starting off the podcast, the first thing that I wanted to touch on is product development. And with you, most of your products have come from ideas and everything like that. And I was wondering, how have you gotten your ideas into reality? Because most people, they kind of have the idea, but don't know how to get it into the real world.
Yeah. Well, it depends on so there's products that you can design and they can be digital products, right? Like software. And then there's physical products that you're going to need to figure out how to manufacture. And then there's also services that you can productize your service if you have like a lawn mowing business or something. So I've done all of those. And the hardest one is for sure trying to do digital products, because even though you don't need metal or wood or fabric, you need to find really smart engineers to help you out, or have to become one. You have to learn coding and stuff like that. Although ChatGPT and other things are making that easier, so AI will actually make creating products of all sorts easier. But I think the best way to start a product is probably, in my opinion, is just, the first companies I did was cases for iPads, and I just went out and I found some friend who was making metal motorcycle parts, and I asked him if he could cut a piece of metal that would go around the iPad so I could put a lock in it, and I made a locking iPad case. Wow. And it costs, you have to have a little bit of money, or you have to have some friends. You have to be able to convince people to help you make your prototype. So if you have an idea, it's best to have like a school that you're at, or friends, or have machines, but you need to be able to prototype your product, whether that's an app or a shoe, or you're trying to make a case. The stuff to make a product is out there, and people won't really believe you that you have a product and you're trying to raise money until you can show them a prototype. So if you ever want to make something and you want to go raise money, you have to be able to do the first steps of making the kind of the mocked up version. And that's really easy today with 3D printing and with
right.
Design, where you can make something, you can almost make something look real. Right now I have something I'm making that's all 3D printed and all digital imagery. There's not a real product yet. And that's the steps you have to take prior to getting the real product out, is you gotta fake it.
Yeah. And I wanted to also ask, with your products, there's many different purposes that they can serve. And so I wanted to ask, what are like the main things that you focus on when creating a product or helping with one?
I think you have to focus on it being interesting to more than one person, right? So like, you might want something to help hold your iPhone next to your bed so you can watch Netflix at night. Yeah. and maybe this thing maybe it's like an arm that goes in front of your face and you can just lie down and not hold it so it doesn't, get your hands tired. You have all these ideas of like how good this product's going to be. But sometimes the biggest issue is that like you solve your own problem, but that problem isn't anybody else's problem. Like they don't, it might be kind of cool, but it might be too clunky or difficult. So they don't have the same bed stand or the same need that you have. And so there's like, most commonly people make products without really understanding the utility or the size of the market. And so they might make something that only scratches the itch of a very small amount of people. I remember one time a friend he was making ski poles, and the ski poles had all these tools. You could unwind the basket, and at the end of the basket were all this tool, and then there's a GoPro mount on the pole. And he made the Swiss Army knife of ski poles, and it was actually really novel and it worked. But guess what? The entire ski pole market is very small. There's not a lot of skiers, and then ski poles alone. Like if let's just say everyone in the world bought your ski pole that skis, it's still just not a massive market. And so you got to make sure that your product actually, if you want to go big, you got to make sure there's enough buyers to make it interesting. So that's another problem, is making sure the market is there.
Yeah, absolutely. And with your experience in angel investings and helping people out with their products and getting them out there in the world, throughout the years, have you seen like a certain special product that seemed like it would be worth millions, but it just fall through because the company didn't necessarily knew what they had with them? And
yeah, that happens. That's usually in the very beginning phase. You're actually not betting on, as an angel investor, you're betting less on the product and more on the person.
Yeah.
And so lots of times the person can get in their own way. They may have a massive opportunity in front of them, but they're not the right person to be taking that idea forward. They just lack vision, or they lack leadership, and so that a lot of times the right product can be entertained by the wrong founder, or vice versa. The right founder is just working on the wrong product. So there's definitely both those at play. And usually as an angel investor, you bet on the jockey, not the horse.
Oh, yeah.
So the idea is the horse, the jockey is the person racing is the entrepreneur.
Yeah.
You're usually trying to, in the early stages, you're almost always betting on the jockey, because the horse is going to be very unknown. It's underdeveloped at the time, and you don't really know if it can change a lot. The product will change a lot. So you got to find the right jockey, the right entrepreneur, and they can usually take a bad product and make it a good one. Mm-hmm. But the wrong entrepreneur can take a good product and just sit on, never have it materialize.
Yeah. So we've been talking a lot about angel investing, but a lot of people might not know about it. So what is angel investing, and how does it differ from other types of investment?
Yeah, angel investing is mostly, I think it's mostly defined by like the stage of, it's usually there's something called friends and family round. And at this point, that's where a lot of angels come in. That's usually the first money that a company gets is angel money. And so it's not something that comes like Tesla doesn't need angel dollars right now. They're publicly traded. You can buy $100,000 of stock, but that would be just regular investment. So angel money is not really a number. It could be $1,000 to $1 million or whatever. But I would say the average angel check is probably $10,000 to $20,000. And in my own, like the 80 that I've done, I would say the average is right there, about 25,000. And what it is, it's that money that doesn't really come with a ton of crazy terms. It doesn't usually need like a massive amount of paperwork. It's kind of like someone's getting started. They know they can't get enough from maybe their family or their friends or credit cards, and so they go to the angel networks, and then those people make angel investments, and that's that stage. And it can be for a technology company, it can be for e-commerce company. You're trying to make shoes or purses or phone cases, whatever it be. That angel check is can go into any industry. It could be biomedical or some bioscience stuff. It doesn't have to be product that like it can be a B2B product. It doesn't have to be a consumer product. So that's what angel is, and every community has angels. More here in Salt Lake than maybe other places. Like it changes by like Arizona, and Scottsdale has its own angel community. So angel communities are every state, but they're a little bit different. They have a little bit different specialties. And angels are usually people who have sold their company, or they have some extra cash, or they're doctors and want to get invested into things. And so angels have to be accredited. So that means they have to be able to lose all the money they give you, and not sue, and not have it change their have it too big of a deal for their savings and stuff. So that means they're accredited. That means they can take the risk and lose all the money, and it's not going to be all their life savings. So that's kind of the definition of an angel.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking about some things that you're also interested, cryptocurrency and Web3 is also one thing you're very invested in. So one of the questions I have for you is, what inspired you to become a supporter of cryptocurrency and Web3 technologies?
Yeah, that was very distinct moment in my life. It was in 2015. I had heard about, at the time, it's just Bitcoin, really. There wasn't, you guys were probably pretty young then. There's a few other little coins coming out, but I was in Los Angeles. I was working for Disney, and I was with my friend who worked at Snapchat, and we were up late one night at his house, and he spent 4 hours telling me about the history of Bitcoin, from how it came out, who Satoshi Nakamoto is supposed to be, what she invented, this Bitcoin white paper, and what was going on in the market and how unique it was. And so he took this time to tell me what it was, and then I went on Coinbase, which was a new app at the time, and I bought quite a bit of it at the time, and it felt like a very educated purchase at the time, because I had taken this, like, he wasn't even trying to sell me, he was just telling me the history. But it was like I listened to my friend intently and said, man, he's very successful, he's a computer scientist, he is not messing around, with his research. If I would be a lunatic not to follow people who have figured things out. He's already figured out other parts of life really well. Who am I to tell him this Bitcoin thing is a joke or is a Ponzi scheme? Like, I'd be really ignorant in how I invest if I ignore this person who, to me, is a very early inventor of things. And so I followed the example of somebody else, and it was a good thing I did at the time. I did, because that was a very kind of the beginning of the next wave of crypto. And so I was very early in a sense to Bitcoin and Ethereum, and I have never stopped. Here we are 8 years later. Nothing's changed. The data that he shared with me then is still true today, and the cryptocurrency is now 14 years old. It's not a flash in the pan. It's not coming and going. It's every single year it gains more momentum, and more people who learn about it, like I did, and find ways to be involved with it. And I'm talking mostly cryptocurrency right here. There's way more parts of the blockchain, Web3, but that's how I got into to cryptocurrency. And then since then, I've also explored more than just crypto and what other things can be done. But we're in the phase still where the currency is still the most identifiable or useful part of the blockchain. That's the most use we see so far, is how we can put money on blockchain.
Yeah, amazing. And with being so invested in cryptocurrencies and being a literal visionary in Utah, how do you see cryptocurrencies and the technologies of Web3 being developed in the future? How will they impact our lives?
Yeah, probably the most awaited, like what will really impact us is the fact that they're very transparent, and that people know and can see what's happening with the money. Right now, when we have all these things going on, we're just guessing what happens when a bank fails, and we're just listening to the government say we're bailing out the bank. Oh, it's funny, a guy calling me who got me into cryptocurrency on the phone right now. I've got to let him know. It's probably urgent. He doesn't call this early, but I'm going to let him know. I'll call him in a bit. But we're also doing another company right now that's doing life extension. So here's the thing, is that right now things are happening and they're outside of our control and they're outside of our knowledge. We can't tell why we can't really see the bank's accounts. We can't really see where the money's going and flowing. We don't really know how the government makes new money. They just say a word and it appears.
Yeah.
It's like there's no rules to it. It's all secretive. It's all done with it's all just kind of, it's like someone baking a recipe of cookies, but they like just eyeball it all. There's no real science to it at all. Whereas crypto has complete transparency for most of the transactions that happen on most of the networks. There's a finite amount of Bitcoin. There'll never be more than 21 million ever. And there's only there's 18 million of it's already been issued, and we can watch it. And so I think the main thing is that it's a transparent network that the world can watch, and we can know, and people can't tell us stuff that isn't true, because truth is in math and we can see it. The next part is probably really important, is that it's in essence it's digital money. So it's a technology. Ethereum and Bitcoin, these are basically computers. Ethereum especially is a computer that can be written and programmed, and it can do things like lower transaction fees and store data. And so like we could possibly also have money that doesn't have tons of friction and in fees that we just get charged all the time. When we like, you go buy something with a credit card, and the merchant has to pay 3%. So you go buy a $10 item at the gas station, and you have a 3% tax is applied just to be able to use that credit card. Well, there's technology now that allows that not to be the case anymore. Mm-hmm. And you can even do it with like a debit card, but like people use credit cards. So we're going to have technology that's going to lower the cost of transacting, and that's going to happen on blockchain. It should be close to free. There's no need to have intermediaries carving money off for you to be able to use your money. It should just be, I give $1, they get $1. Now, do they pay taxes down the road? Possibly to a government, but even that's another story. So cryptocurrency, I believe in, is going to give transparency, and it's going to be, as a technology, it's going to lower the cost of transacting, and and when you have that, you're going to increase transactions, you're going to increase interchange and exchanging and between countries and everything. So I see it as a leveler of allowing us to do. I should be able to land in Japan or Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, and just not even have to exchange money, to just have my crypto wallet, and I can just buy things everywhere I go with the same currency, no matter what country I'm in.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you mentioned that crypto has been growing and growing faster and faster every year. And so I wanted to ask you, with the many tokens that are coming onto the market, when you are looking to find something to invest in, what are you looking at, and how do you kind of figure out which ones will make a return?
Yeah, there's no real way to there's no, like, if I had the answer there, I would be much richer. But there's no, like, I'm not really following new tokens. I'm just kind of, I believe in a few, and I really just hold 3 or 4: Bitcoin, Ethereum, the one Giddy that I was, helpful in creating, and then Matic, which is Polygon. And so I'm not holding a ton, and I'm not looking for new ones. Mostly because I want to concentrate on the ones we have and get those to work. We need more use of those. But the way that I kind of evaluate the tokens that I'm going to hold is that I look at how many people are using them, who's behind them, and like how either decentralized, like in Bitcoin, we want it to be decentralized. We don't want anyone that can do anything about it. But when there's newer tokens, in some ways, you want to know that who the team is building out the technology, what's going on. Are they going to take my money and run away to a foreign country? Are they anonymous? And I try to avoid ones that are completely anonymous. I want to know teams that are like that I can talk to them on Twitter and stuff like that. Versus for a while there, a lot of the projects were totally anonymous, and then they just you just don't really know what's going on because there's no, like, they call it docs. There's no one that's like docs to like really be held accountable. I kind of like that there's in some of these tokens, the newer ones, that there's someone accountable that has an incentive probably not to run away, and has creditors that and they have a team that they're building. So in the case of Giddy, I actually really like that the technology is, they're not anonymous founders, and that they're all right here in Utah, and you can talk to them on Twitter and see what their project is doing, and talk to the employees and see what they're working on.
Yeah, absolutely. And mentioning Giddy and how you kind of help them out with your expertise, is there any other projects currently that you're interested or currently helping now get up on their feet and into the crypto space?
Yeah, there's a handful of things, again, right here in Utah, that are really exciting. People doing health records on blockchain, so that all of your data is stored on blockchain for your health records. I think that's a fascinating future, is that you guys are all pretty young, and you're going to start having things happen where you build up essentially a history of health.
Yeah.
And that's all owned, like every doctor visit, all that stuff. That's kind of not your data. I mean, it is your data, but it's like it's in old computers, old software programs. They have to print it out with like printers that have like little holes on the side, like old. It's like we're talking archaic 25-year-old systems to help to keep your health data. And wouldn't it be nice if just all your health data was owned by you in an app, like encrypted? And so that's one part that I'm seeing happen here. There's a company called Galvin. They're going to try to do that. There's a few others, but health records on chain will be very interesting. The other one that I'm really excited about is just apps that allow you to buy and sell crypto kind of automatically, and just does all the trading for you. So you can just turn it off your brain and just let it do the work for you, because a lot of people don't have time to learn about this. So there's a company called Soon, and they just let you put a little bit of money into their system, and they will just do crypto for you, which is probably preferred for most people, not to have to think about it and just let it happen.
Yep, absolutely. And you also mentioned Giddy was one of the projects you invested in. So when you first, came in contact with the owners of Giddy and how they're operating it, what made it so interesting that you wanted to give them your time and investment to help them?
Yeah. Well, I mean, we developed it together. So there was no Giddy until I was trading. I was trying to learn DeFi, which is the kind of Giddy's, what it's built on, which is decentralized finance. And they helped, one of the brothers, Eric, CEO, helped me find some money on the blockchain that I'd lost. And I paid him for that. I'm like, we need to help other people, and so we were trying to figure out if we should start a company to teach, like a university.
Yeah.
And then it was so clear that doesn't scale, that the thing we need to do is just make it so people won't lose their money on the blockchain like I did. And so it's like, how do we do that? Well, he was working at Walmart, and he was building the biggest app, one of the biggest e-commerce apps in the world, helping when the PlayStation 5 or 4, one of these big PlayStations came out. He had to like make sure that that when they were getting a million requests to buy, when those came out, like that wouldn't crash the app.
Yeah.
So he knew how to run a big app doing commerce. And so he was in a mobile app. So he was in the perfect place at the time to build a big mobile app that would scale for crypto. And so like we said, why teach? Our talents are, we should make an app, we should make a product.
Yeah.
So I transferred some crypto to them to get them started, and then they formed a company. And it took about 4 months after I gave them money to land on the name Giddy, and then we started hiring up a team. And I was the initial investor, and I wasn't on the team day to day. But there's no Giddy without me and Eric, who kind of made the case for why it should exist, because we lost, he helped me solve some lost money problems.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And a lot of people nowadays, you see in the news articles, everyone is concerned and kind of scared of like cryptocurrencies, like it's going to take their money away, it's going to be an issue of some sorts. But what if someone walked up to you and they asked you advice for cryptocurrency because they don't know what it is and they want to make money? What advice would you give to them?
What I do this every day. I have them download my wallet, Giddy, and I transfer them, $50, $25, some amount of money. And I tell them to go learn what this is. So what it does is it lands in their wallet, and they see this number, and this number will fluctuate every day because the price is going up or down.
Yeah.
And I want to spark some curiosity in them, because I want them to realize that they need to go do their own research. And I say, go figure out what this is. Yeah, I'll even say, like, text me, call me up, I'll give you a little bit more, but go research and find out how I did what I just did. Is that real money that's in your wallet? What can you do with it? Yeah. What does staking mean? Could you add more? Could you trade it back to US dollars? Can you buy Bitcoin? Can you do Ethereum? Like, it just takes a general amount of curiosity to survive in today's world. And if people aren't asking questions, if they're not getting on GPT-4 and asking, what should I do with crypto? Should I be buying some? If they're not asking AI or other people that question you just asked me, then then they lack general curiosity, because it's been around for 14, 15 years.
Yeah.
And everybody should have a little bit of question back in their mind. What should I be doing with crypto? It's here. I'm a kid, or I'm 89, I'm almost retired. Should I be doing something with crypto? Asking the question is the first step. And that question is answered differently for everyone. For the 89-year-old, I'm probably not going to say much. It's like, you know what? It's a riskier thing. I think you need to just stay with your existing money. But my 60-year-old said, he was about 69, 68. My father-in-law, he saw me getting into crypto early, and he just demanded I teach him. Mm-hmm. And this was when Ethereum was like $70, and he bought a bunch of Ethereum, and he turned his $14,000 into, I think, $180,000 within a few years. And I was so shocked that he had the risk taking to do that at his age. Usually people when they're older, they're not looking for risky investments, but he was very much wanting to follow my lead and just get into these things. So there's definitely an age for everyone should probably get into it if they're curious, but the age that makes the most sense are you guys.
Yeah.
Right now, there's no reason that you guys shouldn't be trickling a little bit of money every month, every week that you can, just a little bit. What's the cheapest way that you can buy a little bit of crypto every single day? And that's not just crypto, but maybe a little stocks. How do you buy a little bit of Apple stock every day? When I was 22, I started plowing my money that I got from the government to go to school, my loans. I started plowing it into Apple stock and Amazon stock. This was in 2003, and I knew that those stocks were going to do well because I could see people start to use them, like the products. I could see these white AirPods going into iPods.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is just happening way too much on my college campus. How do I get into that project? How do I get into this iPhone, this iPod thing? Not just buy one. How do I invest in it? Because I think it's going to do well. And I went and bought tons of Apple stock, and it went up. It went up a ton, and it paid for all of my school, all my cars, everything, because I I was curious enough to wonder what those things were coming out of everybody's ears and what was happening. And I really think that's just the thing is, like, I don't want to project. I don't want to say anything, because I always say everyone should do their own research, but doing research, it requires a little bit of work, and it requires that you be curious enough to figure out what's going on in the world around you. Now, you guys have a podcast with all these executives in Utah. I would say that that's curiosity already. I don't know the exact reasons you guys are doing it, but there's not many. I'm not getting approached by many people in high school that are doing podcasts. So you're already on the curiosity scale. You guys are already in the top percentile.
Yeah, that sounds great. So we're running out of time on this Zoom meeting. Is it all right if we continue our conversation in a second Zoom?
Yeah. Do you mind if I get some water and we'll come back?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to be talking about one of the projects that you've been working on recently, is Cryptopia.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So just real quick, you want to give us a little introduction what Cryptopia is?
Yeah, Cryptopia is our attempt to create a community for everything crypto here in Utah. And it started over a year ago, and it was supposed to just get everyone in the same room with some panels and speakers, and it's been crazy because crypto feels like this. And so Cryptopia feels like this too, even though it's just an information, it's just a place where you go to meet and do information. It's like one year, this person's sponsoring, the next year, those people may not be around. And that's kind of how the crypto world works. So we're luckily we're announced just last week. I think it's like our 5th event we've done will happen in May 27th or May 29th, I think. And that's going to be it'll be up at the University of Utah. It'll be our 5th installation. We try to do several events every year. And this one we'll have a bunch of panels and speakers. We'll have government officials to tell us where they see crypto right now. We'll have some of the projects that are here locally talking. We'll have actually like your guys' advice on what we could do better. But it feels like this one's going to focus a lot more on students and try to get more people involved or learning about it. Probably have a lot of ways to get free crypto if you come, type of thing. I think that's one of the big things is people need to have a little bit in a wallet, so they understand what a wallet is, what an NFT is, what are they doing with this, what utility does it have, why should I store it, how do I store it, how's it safe. So our goal of Cryptopia is just to have a place for people to meet that are into this and talk about it.
Yeah, awesome.
And so what was the main inspiration for Cryptopia? What was the idea, and then how was the challenges of making it happen?
Yeah. It was just, this one was probably the easiest thing I've ever done. And I'll tell you why. There's nothing happening in Utah for all the crypto people. There was little groups, right? There was this group of this people trying to do a little meetup here. And no one had combined the kingdoms. Everyone was just kind of in their little OG Bitcoiner, Raven coin, NFTs over here, these people. And no one was really saying, hey, this is all Web3. Let's all get together and share each other's stuff. Yeah. And so it was a moment that was just perfect. And so all we had to say is announce it and I used to have a really big LinkedIn account before it got banned because of crypto. And so I just announced it on LinkedIn, and we had a lot of people sign up. And what happened there too is there was just a lot of projects that people wanted to meet the other projects. So every crypto, one called Safe Moon, tweeted it out, and everyone came for Safe Moon. And a lot of people came for Giddy at the time. It was brand new. A lot of people came for some NFT projects that were happening at the moment. So the inspiration was mostly, sometimes you'll find things in life where things just need to happen. It's so obvious, and you're just the person that's supposed to do it, or the timing is just so perfect. And the Cryptopia was that. Now, don't get any illusion. Cryptopia is a hard business. It's one that we don't even know if we want to keep it going. Events are very pricey. They're not they don't scale that well. You don't know every year if it's going to even make the money back that you spend. So
Right.
even though the event came to us really easily,
Yeah.
it's sometimes it's like having a dog or something that's really dependent on you, and it's like you don't want to keep it alive, but it's very dependent on you. so this is one. Cryptopia is one that's kind of a volunteer, very very much almost like a volunteer project. But I feel like it's necessary to keep going every year because people need a place to go and learn. And this year we have like student discounts and stuff, so I want to get that from you. I want to make sure you guys are all there.
Sweet. Yeah, we'd love to attend. And like you said before, with Cryptopia, you get a lot of speakers to come up. You talk about their experience in some of their projects as well. So what were some of the most exciting presentations or discussions that you were able to present at a Cryptopia convention?
Yeah, I liked there's one around real estate that was really interesting at the time. There's a lot of people doing stuff in real estate, and we had some really big names come, like Brandon Fugel, who's a one of the biggest real estate moguls here in Utah and the world, and also quite an entertainer. I like that we had a panel of all of the like current legislators. The Senate came, and they all talked about how they're open to crypto. We had a guy over a bank, and he talked about how the bank is, it's really, really trying to adopt crypto. But I think my favorite was actually my panel. We did a history of Bitcoin, and I had my friend who got me into Bitcoin, and I also had, and this is, I don't even know if anyone listened. I just like having these people up there to talk to with them and learn. And so I also had the founder of Fortnite. His name's Jeremy Mustard. Him and his brother started Fortnite, and he's just a really smart individual, and so everything comes to him very naturally. He sees big picture, big ideas, and he's someone who had to launch he's launched something to billions of people that use it. And so I really get excited about how he's thinking about NFTs and crypto, because he's been in such a fast-paced growing world with what he did at Fortnite.
Yeah. So crypto has evolved so much over the years. So how do you see Cryptopia evolving in the future, and what impact do you think it'll have in Utah?
Yeah, I hope that we are able to create it, so it's something like Comic-Con, but with education. Yeah. So that it's like a really fun event that's weird, that has like the ethos of crypto, dress up, have fun, but also be very educational and very hands-on, and really celebrate technology and freedom, innovation and freedom from government money, which is just not really that. And so I think in a few years, I think Cryptopia will keep expanding here in Utah, and I think you'll always see about 2 events every year from them, and maybe like a little festivity, another side one. I hope they sponsor more things, and but I don't know. I'm going to say, like, I hope you guys help shape that future. I don't know what it needs to become. What I think is really missing is the youth in the space. I think there's something about crypto that I think some kids hear from their parents that it's a scam or something, and then they don't get curious about it. And I think that's a real miss. I'll try to go around and give free money to kids all the time, like teenagers, and they're a little dismissive at first. They're just like, get out of crypto, whatever. And that I can tell that they haven't really studied it. Otherwise they'd be like, yeah, I'll take free money. Like, it's like, but they have some fear of it. I think it probably comes from their parents. Yeah. And so I really hope to help educate the next generation of teens and stuff on crypto and get them at these events. And so I'm really hoping to get a lot of high school and college students to this. And then if they're going to come, I'm hoping that we have the right things to educate them while they're there. And so I think that's the future, is we got to really get this event focused on the youth, because money right now is pretty broken for anybody who's under 30. It's hyperinflated, and it's going against, like, it's making it very difficult for people to get houses and to get groceries and to get cars and loans, because the way the current money is inflating so quickly. That's why the cost of everything is so high right now, that it's really, you're at a huge disadvantage from when I was your age. You guys are at a massive disadvantage because the cost of everything feels, I think, not just feels, I think it is tremendously more expensive than what you're making as a wage. So you go get go say you get a job making $10 an hour, and that would have been enough money back when I was a kid. If I'm working at Taco Bell making $8 an hour, that's like I could have actually done some stuff. I could have made a car payment. I could have done a few things with that. Today, with most of the jobs, the cars, payments on them, the eggs at the grocery store, all the costs, everything is so expensive that you guys are really at a disadvantage. And I think that's just, it should be the opposite. We should have been innovating so well as a population that your generation should have the most abundance. Like there should be tons of abundance and tons of ways that you guys can do whatever you want to do. And our money has completely wrecked the next generation. And so I'm wanting to fix that by figuring out a way that if the youth of today get educated and help prop up a new currency that they have more of than the boomers, then we could maybe flip the situation. It'd be awesome if you guys were the ones that had the buying power and the purchasing power, and because you researched and learned and hijacked the system.
Right. Yeah.
Absolutely. Now, we're super excited for your future endeavors for Cryptopia, and especially trying to get, teens and like college students into Cryptopia. So I wanted to give you a quick moment to, just talk about your next event for Cryptopia, give us a little insight, what you got planned and how excited people should be.
Well, it's the very beginning planning stages, and I'll be in Japan the whole time where they're planning it. So I won't be that involved, but I just know we're doing some weird stuff. I think we're doing a crypto cookie that you can get at Dirty Dough with your wallet. So you're going to be able to go around like the month prior and use your wallet and buy crypto cookies at local participating cookie stores. And then we're having a cookie eating contest. So whoever can eat the most cookies, I don't know what, we're going to try to fly in a professional food eater, some of the pounds food. So we have some interesting guests. We're trying to get some outsiders to come to it that haven't been to Utah, that maybe have some big voice right now. Because crypto's kind of down, there's not as many events as there used to. 2 years ago it was everything, and now it's hard to get it. Now it's not as hard to get some speakers. So I think we'll have a nice headliner, someone that's coming from California or maybe another country that wants to talk to the Utah audience about their vision for crypto. So expect some interesting voices that come to Utah and share their perspective on what's happening. And as always, it's like we try to partner with other companies. So we're going to have there's a new company that only sells EV cars called evcars.com. And he's going to be, there's a lot of the newest cars, and he's going to be showing off all these electric cars. So we try to make an event around innovation in general. So I think there'll be fun NFT projects once again. There's going to be a bunch of different technologies. So we'll see that. Hey, you guys still there?
Yeah, we're still here.
Okay.
Just our camera
Well,
is kind of over here.
Yeah, so I think we'll have a lot of people show up that I don't even know yet, but we're going to be working the next 2 months to get them there.
Yeah, that's amazing. We're super excited for all of that. So we're actually going to move on to our final question for this interview, and it's considered the big question on our podcast. Are you ready?
All
right.
Yeah.
So our big question to you is, what advice would you give to the younger generations?
Okay, so this is advice for you guys and for my kids.
Yeah.
I've got teenagers. You guys are getting started off. This one's really simple, and it's just study AI. Like every single day, make sure you're putting an hour in of studies towards what AI is doing, who's doing it, how can I make music with it, how can I make imagery with it, how can I make video with it, how can I make voices with it, how can I make writing, copyright with it, how can I code games and programs with it.
Right.
I want you guys to be able to name everything going on in the industry of AI.
Yeah.
And forget crypto. Like, truthfully, just about face and do AI. Yeah.
Right.
I can go on for an hour, but I'm telling this to everyone I go to right now.
Yeah.
everywhere I go. Even this podcast, like I am the responses I give you and everything I have is one brain. Like it's just one experience that I have, and it's pretty valuable, right? You could say that, like, it's this brain has experiences, this brain has some knowledge. It's fallible, so I can give you some stuff might be good information, some stuff might be crappy, but at the end of the day, this is just one node, right? One storage of memories and experiences. Well, the AI now are so powerful that it's beginning to be, it feels like you're talking to someone that is, one of these, but times like a million.
Right.
And so I'm going to take advice from someone who has all the data, who has all the knowledge, who has all the correct math. And so that's available like right now in some very light form, some very lightweight forms of like GPT 3.5 and 4, and you can go play with, like, just on imagery, you can go play with Stable Diffusion and Midjourney and other things, and you can use Copilot and GPT-4 to code. And so all this stuff is happening right now in the space of AI that I've already told my kids, just, you don't have to go to school if you don't want to. Whatever you do, just make sure you're spending an hour a day learning about AI.
Yeah.
And talking to it and creating a kind of some type of, just as some people go running or they play baseball or they are into anime or watching Netflix, just make sure you have some addiction to using AI every day, and you will be just fine in life.
Yeah. Well, that's amazing. And we just want to thank you so much for taking the time out of your day for meeting with us. It was an absolute pleasure.
Awesome. That's
All right.
great. Nice to meet you.
That's all we have for you guys on the Three Peaks podcast. We'll see you guys on the trail next time.